Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. I'm Presman, and we're back with some more Moonlighter. Now, we could just open up shop, to be honest, and that is probably something I should probably end up doing. But let's first of all let's sort out my inventory, because that probably was not finished last time. And we got the poison ring. Anti-poison, anti-poison, anti-poison. What did you do? Is increase my defense at low health, wasn't it? I believe. Yes. Which we don't need for now. So the just with you. So yeah, how are we all doing? How are we all doing? I myself doing pretty well. Got a very busy kind of like week and all that set up at the moment. But we have enough stuff. The other thing is... So I missed both of those. I got a request to do, which is get the seeds. Do I have the seeds is the question. Do I have them? I need 5 of those seeds. So let's double check. Let's take my inventory and check my stock. I have 4 there. And nowhere else. So I guess we're going back to do some more dungeon diving. And then I gotta go January, and I gotta try and get those in like a couple of days as well. So we might not be selling stuff for a while. This may become a problem. This may become a problem. Yeah, we'll just exit. I don't have any potions, but to be honest, that might actually be for the better. That might be for the better. Now we'll get some potions. I have like 86,000, right? So I can afford to splurge on some nice potions. Just get 5 again. Cool. But yeah, so I got a lot planned coming up. Like a lot of stuff I'm doing. And do we buy the banker? No, we should improve my store. Oh, it's just a bargain bin if we're going for that. Discounted. So 50% instead of 60. No, I will worry about that later. We'll worry about that later. We will build the bank up. We will build it. Just, I need to make sure I've got all the stuff I need first. And we just want to get the seeds and leave. That is the main thing, right? And then we'll go to the other dungeon, and then we'll do the stuff there, and then we'll have a look at selling stuff. Maybe. Maybe that might be the next one. Who knows? Who knows? We shall decide when we feel like it. I had a unexpected encounter with an old friend of mine the other day, which was kind of interesting. And aside from like usual stuff, and they kind of remembered me from when I did some random improv stuff with a bunch of people on stage and things, and I was like, I kind of remember doing that because I wanted to get over my my anxiety kind of to like talking to people and being in front of people and stuff like that, which was kind of funny. And we did a kind of like a almost like a mini kind of like set piece skit of a very self-obsessed game show host, which I got to play the lead for that, which is always fun. You know, the whole kind of like clearly robotic guy who's complete narcissist, only is thinking of himself, and like just my normal personality. No. But yeah, and I remember just like I remember speaking to them like, oh yeah, I remember you doing that. And I thought I was like, oh, you were really good. And I thought, really? Was I? Like, I swear my heart was beating out of my chest, and I thought everybody else in the audience could see that. But yeah, I did a lot of stuff to try and kind of like almost like exposure therapy, right? Try and force myself in situations to... Oh, we got the seeds already. That's brilliant. Modified seeds. We can actually just leave. Yeah, we'll leave them. I mean, I could do more. I could do more, but now we'll leave. So this should put it to the next day, which means I should have a couple of days now to go and do what we want. So we can probably sell some of the stuff and get the thingy completed, right? Because it's going to be done by... Not even tomorrow, but it is done. It is done. Now we can do some actual dungeon exploring. Didn't even use a potion. That is brilliant. I am so happy with myself. Although, get my potions back, please. Oh, yeah. Let's go and explore the new place. Finally, you know. I've been putting off like about 4 or 5... So, no, couple of episodes? I mean, we've already seen it, but in the apparitions that appear. But now we actually get to explore it and watch it completely destroy us. Still got the confusion talisman on, because you never know. You never know, right? But yeah, I was, I got speaking to them and stuff, and it just kind of reminded me of, all the random rubbish I did from back then. Of just, like, either trying to get myself out of dealing with anxiety and, like, public speaking and stuff. As well as also, like, realizing just how awesome that idiotic character was that I kind of set myself up with. And, like, I like doing funny voices and, like, messing around with stuff, right? Always have done, always will do. Because it's just entertaining to me as anything else is, right? I can't remember the voice exactly I used for him overall, but I remember it being kind of like, you know, that whole kind of like car salesman voice type thing, right? I'm gonna like, welcome, where are you from? What is your name? I don't care. You know. I love just messing around with that so much, because... You know, who wouldn't want to be a narcissist with no consequences? Who wouldn't want to be a narcissist with no consequences to their actions? Try and get that guy off. Okay, we killed that one. That's the main one first. Nice. I have no idea if this room actually contains a hidden secret. I would like to think it would. So, no twinkle. Guess not. Didn't see one in that room either. Or this room. Now this one has the twinkle, the squishy twinkle. But yeah, I did enjoy doing a lot of stuff like that back in, well, like the day and stuff, especially at uni and things as well. I did that a fair amount of just like putting myself out there to try and get over things, you know. Essentially trying to develop myself as a person a bit more. And I'm gonna say, didn't go the way I wanted it to. You know, I tried many different things, and I enjoyed all of them and everything else, but at the end of the day, I never kind of really settled down, at which point I never really kind of, like, became who I wanted to be at that age, which I probably was, at that point, is kind of like, in most cases, like, it's too late at that point to try and, like, you know, not too late, but it makes it very difficult to just kind of maintain certain level of friendships and stuff if you're still trying to find yourself and you're not able to do it at that sort of age, really. Like, I kind of relate this back to development and stuff, like how your mind adapts to things and how you eventually kind of, like, essentially, like, how you grow up, right? Like, my childhood wasn't, like, terrible or anything else, but I was kind of really good at, like, one particular subject, which just meant, like, for me, in a way, I was clearly kind of using that as a crutch to get away with kind of like essentially avoidance of other things. Let's read this. One thing is clear. These dungeons are arranged to assist in the ransacking of them. But there is a glitch in the system, an anomaly working against their design. The guards. They work autonomously without thought. Their only concern the defense of the treasures in the dungeon, which seems in direct conflict with the dungeon's sole purpose. I wager whatever places the guards here is separate from what forms the dungeons. Interesting dungeon lore. But yeah. So yeah, like you know, never excusing any bad behavior or stuff like that, but I found it quite a lot, which is kind of how I came across it, as I kind of like did a lot of volunteer work with helping kind of kids study for like big tests and things like that, and mainly focus on kids with behavioral concerns or ones that kind of just needed that extra bit of oomph to try and get them into it, and I did that kind of like volunteer work. So I picked up on a lot, and you find that kids that are generally smart, that kind of like have that one niche they're really good at, and it kind of compensates for a lot of other stuff they do, right? It really affects their overall development as an adult. Oh, I didn't even equip my potions either. That's terrible. Okay. We got lucky. We got lucky, and we did get some cores as well. I guess that means I really should just, like, leave this place and not risk it. But I haven't used my potions, so let's carry on. But yeah, so it's one of those things where I think, like, people, like, especially as children, as you grow up, you tend to mature in particular ways, and you'll find that if you have that kind of niche that you're really good at, that also compensates for you actually trying to like be successful at school and stuff, right? You kind of find your development, or the kids' development, doesn't actually improve at that point. Because they'll use that crutch as a way of compensating for it, which means it can halt their development, like their mental development, like social skills, stuff like that, quite early on, which is kind of like not unheard of in a way, but it is a thing. It's like, it's not drastic enough to be worried about in most cases, like, you know. I definitely would say, like, some of that effect is something where I kind of would see that in a lot of kids, where you look at them and you think to yourself, yeah, you are smart, you clearly know a lot of stuff, and you can pick up on many things. It's like what I would call the difference between book smart and street smart, right? And then on top of that, you also have what someone is classed as intuition smart, where they're smart without being taught the necessary skills and abilities, all just done based upon intuition and kind of like how they figure out like the best way of getting out of a scenario is. Yeah, like we probably all been there and done it, right? Where there's that moment where it's like we're looking at something and we're like, hang on a minute, how do they know that bit of information and it's right? Kind of thing. But yeah, I think that happens quite a lot. And it's a really hard thing to nail down because of they'll use that as a crutch to compensate. The only reason that we pick up on kids that maybe have, say, behavioral issues or things like that normally comes down to the fact that because it doesn't conform with what we already know, right? That's essentially the only reason that we end up finding out, is the fact that because we know that it doesn't conform, we can spot it easier because they don't have that crutch to kind of fall back on. It's weird, right? Like, it's not like a bad thing. I said, like, it isn't bad. It's just it's something where, like, because you pick up on it with other kids, you don't pick it up with other ones, which means that because you don't pick up on it, like, you wouldn't know there was an issue. You just know that they can kind of, like, you know. The thing is, like, kids like that tend to be smart enough to notice that they're different from others, or they just don't get it, so they kind of just tolerate the indifference other people show them, with the fact they just don't understand, like, what goes on. And it sounds horrible, but it's no one's fault. That's the thing you kind of got to remember, right? It's not like, oh, everyone's arguing over the fact that, you know, you don't understand your kid, or the fact that the kid is not articulating themselves in a manner which is beneficial for other people to see the issues, or all that stuff. It's kind of like, you know, the kid doesn't know that anything's wrong, and we've all been pre-programmed to understand things in this very specific way. You know? It's not an easy thing to pick up on. It's like, you know, essentially the blind leading the blind most of the time, right? Like, I wouldn't know what the issues were without someone pointing them out half the time. Why would I expect anyone else to? But yeah, I've seen it with a lot of parents where it's like the kids suddenly just get, like, a handle on one particular thing and they run away with it like it's, you know, the only thing that's ever going to give them any form of sort of like accomplishment in their entire lives. And you're thinking, like, why does that mean so much to you? And you sit down, you chat, you talk about it, you make progress, and then you kind of go, oh, you know, it's just it's the one thing that you feel you're confident in. And because you know, because some of the kids can use that as a crutch to kind of get through school, interact with people, you know, they end up just not growing up in maturity from that phase. They kind of stay in it, which is an interesting thing. Oh my. I can now confirm that the bottom of every dungeon is a giant beast. I would like to spend further time looking into whatever they might be guarding, but something else caught my eye today. I witnessed a new creature near the aforementioned Colossus. It was not concerned with me, so it wasn't a guard. It was a smaller, orange variant of a green monster. The one that occasionally chases me if I spend too much time in the dungeon. Which deserves more attention, honestly. Why is that thing around? But this small orange creature, it wasn't guarding treasure, it was completely oblivious of me. What was it doing down there? Down here. Interesting. I probably should look at heading back at some point. I kind of just want to see if I can, I guess we're heading back. We all sacrificed money, we all collect the things we got. Didn't get everything we needed, but we got a good amount, so let's see if we go to do some sales next. That'll be the last thing we can do for the day. But yeah, it's one of the things, like, a lot of people in any social situation will kind of grab onto a thing that they're good at, or a thing they feel comfortable with, and they'll use that as a way to avoid other things, right? I did it quite a lot. I was really good at maths, and I tend to, you know, use maths as an excuse for my poor performance in other subjects. I'm not going to deny it, I did that. Was it, like, the right course of action for me to be doing that? No, of course not. That was a terrible choice. But maths was the one thing that I always felt comfortable in, you know? It's the same thing as the fact, you know, I could always find the right answer regardless of anything else, right? Maths was simple to me, it was effective, it was an easy solution. It was a yes or no question with a yes or no answer. Kind of got past that eventually, but I did use a crux for a while, and I used that to then kind of like plan everything else I did as well, which, yeah, you can't apply math logic to all sorts of other things. Doesn't work. Yeah, I saw many kids go through them all as well and stuff like that, where it's like they would like grasp something really easily, but they'd be confused of why other people weren't really understanding of why they were struggling. And you're like, well, it's not like I can say that you're not struggling and stuff like that. So 1, 2, 7, 5. Maybe 1, 2, 50. See how that goes. Like, you can see the kids are struggling with it, and it's just like, it's trying to find a way to explain it in so that they can understand it, right? Like, I'm terrible at that. 2,000 on that. 2,000 on that was fine. That was high. That was also high. They were all high. We shall see. But yeah. I was always interested in sort of like that aspect of like development as you kind of get older as a kid into your adult years, and like the impact that stuff ends up having, right? Okay, so that's too expensive. We'll cut it down by 100 then. Because it does have, like, an effect, right? Because if I had the ability to avoid something by doing something else, like, of course I'm going to do it, right? It's just a fact. Ah, they're low, that's why. But it was interesting. Right? It's no fault of anyone else's. This person hasn't actually bought anything yet. They actually leaving the store without stealing stuff. Brilliant. You played them with their own game. You watch it now. Someone else has stolen stuff while I was following that one person around all this time. We got lots of money. And that's what we're doing. Getting lots and lots of money. This is a question, like, on here, is it better to have people spend more money or just have more people? I guess it depends on your stock, doesn't it, really? Because you don't really care, like, how much you sell stuff for. You just care that you sell it. Desert steel ingots. I don't know if we've got any of those yet, but we're going to probably get them eventually, aren't we? We'll accept that. As we are going into the desert, doing all this stuff as well. Oh, no. That's all the boss stuff. We'll keep that. The sludge, the leaf. You can go. Yeah, so it's not like it's anything like that drastic. It's just it was just kind of interesting, and it kind of like explains like why you have kids sometimes that are really like really smart, like stupidly smart, and yet that they have like no social skills, or like kids have really good social skills but tend to not have any common sense in some aspects. Like they will rely on one thing to basically, you know, as a crutch to get away from doing something else entirely. Like I spent ages trying to practice social skills and interacting with people to the point where I can be really good at it short term, but over longer periods of time I tend to fail because it's not as part of my personality to really care about social interaction. Like I always said, like I could be quite happily just left to my own devices and, you know, not worry for an entire day. Like no one would, if no one messaged me, I wouldn't care or stuff like that as well. But then like other people do, so I have to make an effort, which means that there's some level of communication issues that always happening, where it's like, oh, Jamie, you know, you never do this, you never do that. It's interesting, right? It is interesting. Like, it's not like you do it intentionally either. Like, that's the thing. And I think sometimes, especially with stuff like that, like everyone always thinks stuff is like really personal when it's not. And yeah, you are still an a-hole for being in the wrong, but at the same time, it's like there are sometimes reasons behind it, right? You try your best to improve that, but nothing is ever as easy as you think it is, right? It's never just, nothing's ever just black and white. It's all shades of grey. At least that's what I believe, right? Like, you can seek to make improvements and everything else as well, but there will be times where your concentration just kind of like, you completely forget. There we go. We are all done. We had one burglar visit. Did they actually steal stuff? He did not. Very nice. There we go. Anyway, that's enough of my ramblings for the day anyway, and that is all we got time for. Again, if you do enjoy these videos, do leave a like, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.